right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you might be joining us from in the world today. My name is Meg Alexander, and I could not be more honored or excited to get to host another fabulous Power to Fly Chat and Learn virtual event. If we can go to our next slide, please. Now, if this is your first Power to Fly event, hi, welcome. We're so happy to meet you today. Now, if you are one of our frequent flyers, the love is no less real. I absolutely adore seeing familiar names and faces and avatars in the chat. So thank you all so much for joining us today. Now, whether this is your first event or your 50th, our code of conduct was just up on the screen. I really encourage y'all, if you have any questions about that, to reach out to me. Just know that as you are interacting with your fellow attendees or networking with our speakers, we just ask that, as always, you operate from a place of kindness and respect. Now, whether this is your first or 50th, the big thing to know about Power to Fly events is that they are all about you. They're about our community members and making sure that you all get the value and the information that you came to get from today's event. Now, we encourage you to participate in a couple different ways if you'd like, and you're welcome to do so however you want. So if you want to, you're welcome to turn your cameras on and share your smiling, maskless faces with us safely. Now, there is no need to be Instagram perfect, y'all. I think I'm on day 4 of the dry shampoo messy bun combo. But truly, we don't care if you are in your bathrobe or a 3-piece suit. You could be coming to us from the corner office or your living room couch. It makes no difference to us. We just want to meet you where you are. Now, if you don't want to participate with your camera, that's fine. It is not required. You can always chime in the chat. I'll be hanging out in there the entire time and would love, love, love to see some action in there. And matter of fact, while we're talking about the group chat, please feel free to head over there and let us know where you're joining us from. I'm always really eager to see how far the global audience spreads. I am coming to you from Toledo, Ohio. This is land that belonged to the Fox, Kickapoo, and Potawatomi tribes in my area. So if you'd like to, please feel free to let us know where you're calling in from, and if you know whose land you're on. Now, we are recording today's session. What that means for all of you is that you don't have to take notes. You get to sit back, relax, enjoy the conversation that I'm about to have with Anitha, and not worry if you missed a reference that someone makes or a resource that they list. You can always come back and review this recording later. Now, we're going to be broadcasting this live to YouTube. Hi, YouTube. And then everybody that registered, whether you were able to join us or not, even if you could only drop in for a couple minutes, everybody that registered is going to get an email in about 4 to 5 business days from Power to Fly. And that's going to have a link to where you can rewatch this recording when it's posted on our website. Now, I really recommend you check out the website because there is a huge resource, like our entire archive of resources, past chats, blog posts, all kinds of stuff is all on that website, completely free, all available for y'all to use and utilize and make the most of. Now, if you don't want to wait 4 to 5 business days, let's say that Anitha says something today so like mind-blowing, paradigm shifting. You can't wait 4 to 5 days to tell a relative or a friend or coworker. You don't have to wait. You can always head over to our YouTube channel. The video will be posted usually within about 15 to 20 minutes of the end of the live stream, but mins the day of, it'll be there. So you can always head over there, check out the link, share it right away. There's like a small archive saved in our YouTube channel as well of some of our kind of greatest hits. However, I really recommend that you check out the website. That is where the mother lode is. Truly all the value is in there. Now, the other thing I want to encourage y'all to do is to, let us know if you have questions. So we're going to be going over some questions that y'all submitted at the time of registration. But if you are here and you took time out of your day to be here with us live, thank you, first off, and we want to reward you for that. So if you have a question and you asked one and we're not sure if we're going to get to it today, ask it in the chat. If you are listening to what we're talking about and you want us to dive in deeper on terminology or acronyms or an idea or anything, let us know in the chat, y'all. We want to make sure that you get value from today's event. Now, if we're going over one of your questions and maybe we just don't have it at the right angle, maybe there's some context or details we should know, share it in the chat, okay? I'll be there. I've got eyes on target this entire time, and we would absolutely love to make sure that we get to answer as many questions as possible. So please, everybody, feel free to dive into that chat. And if you have questions that you would like raised, but you want to be kept anonymous, no problems. Just DM them to me. You can find my name, Meg Alexander, in the dropdown in the group chat. Now, before I introduce you to our speaker, she's here today on behalf of Celonis. Now, Celonis is an amazing company, and I don't know if y'all have any idea of who they are or what kind of great stuff they do. Since 2011, Celonis has helped thousands of the world's largest and most esteemed companies yield immediate cash impact, radically improve their customer experience, and reduce carbon emissions. This process intelligence platform uses industry-leading process mining technology and AI to present companies with a living digital twin of their end-to-end process. Now, at Celonis, they celebrate the differences and individualities of all their employees and understand the value of having a variety of experiences, backgrounds, knowledge bases, and perspectives at play in their teams, from executives all the way through the interns. It is not just a box that they want to tick or a quota that they want to hit. It is making sure that every one of Celonis's employees has a sense of belonging and purpose with them. Now, if any of that interests you or piques your curiosity, I really hope you'll stick around for the next hour as we talk to Anitha Scaria George from Celonis. Now, Anitha is the vice president and leader of the India COE at Celonis. She started her career with the ITC group and then went on to join Oracle, where she spent 25 years in various roles. Now, while at Oracle, she set up the ERP cloud practice and managed a team spread across India and the Philippines. At Celonis, Anitha is responsible for setting up the company in India and growing the organization to serve Celonis customers and partners globally. Anitha, we're so happy to have you join us on stage today. Is there anything else that you would like our audience to know about you before we dive into questions?
Thank you, Meg, and great to be here as well, talking to all of you. Like Meg said, I joined Celonis 2.5 years back, and after a long stint at Oracle. And, like I tell everybody, now I joined Oracle and stayed there because, it was one of the largest software companies at that point in time when I joined there. And I joined Celonis for myself, to experience the joy of setting up, creating something new, and to work with young people, with Celonis being a very young company. I get the opportunity to work with, the average age of the team here is 27, and makes me feel young as well.
I can imagine. Yeah. I
Yeah.
love this. Awesome. Thank you so much, Anitha. All right.
And I'm
Well,
based out of Bangalore in India.
excellent. Thank you so much. And I do see we've got some people joining us from Bangalore as well. So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for chiming in. All right. Now, as we get going on into our questions, like I said, if you've got questions that you want to ask, please feel free to send them in the chat. If you've got questions you want to ask anonymously, send them to me in a DM. And yeah, I hope y'all enjoy the upcoming conversation. All right. So we had a lot of questions from people, and they're kind of all over. So let's start with a little bit of kind of like a leadership focus. One of the really popular questions was people asking if you think there are certain qualities that are crucial for a woman leader to have in such a dynamic industry like tech. How do you feel about this?
I think for a woman leader, the qualities, for a woman leader in tech are not very different from that of a male leader or any other leader, for instance. But what's important, for everyone, all of us to understand, is that, when I joined the tech industry or when I joined the industry, I always believed that initially to be successful, I need to be like a man. I need to fit in to the culture, otherwise I'll be left behind. But as I grew within the industry, I learned that it is perfectly fine to be yourself. And the strengths that you bring to the table are the strength of being a woman. Okay. And it's very important for you, because that's where the fact about diversity comes in. You truly need a diverse team to do well, and diverse teams are the ones that sustain and grow. So you have to think about being yourself while being a leader and while being part of a team.
Totally, yeah. I mean, I think I don't think it's going to be a surprise to a lot of people on call, but I completely agree. And I feel like when it comes to women in leadership, you need all of the same skills that a man in leadership does. But unfortunately, you probably also either need a higher degree of capability within those skills, like emotional intelligence or like communication, or it's not necessarily that you need to have those things, but the sometimes the management and the function of it can put demands on women in leadership that would not be put on men simply because you don't present the same way. And so I think it's really important to highlight that like
Yeah.
the qualifications aren't really different. It's the stupid societal stuff that like adds layers onto things where it's like, all right, fine, I'll be way better at this because you're going to hold me to a weirdly higher standard because I'm not a man. So I think that it's really, I very much appreciate this answer. Thank you.
Yeah. And I think to add to that, Meg, see what's important is you always have to go that extra mile to prove yourself.
Yes.
You have and that's why that's what makes you so resilient and so patient and
Yes.
and these are the strengths that you bring to the table, and this is what really helps in leadership as well.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. All right. So when we talk about different fields, there's a lot of talk about like continuing education and staying up to date. And the tech industry, I feel like, is kind of at like Mach 7, right? Like there's things are moving so quickly that if you are even just kind of dog paddling, it's really easy to feel like you're falling behind. How do you navigate and thrive in the ever-changing landscape that is leadership within the technology field? How do you stay up to date?
Yeah. No, I think it's very important to keep learning every day. And I believe that you owe it yourself to learn something new every day. And the fact that you've learned something new, you owe it to society to share it with others every day. So I think learning and sharing is something that's very important in the industry. And you have to stay current. You have to know about what are the current trends in technology, and be up to date, because like you said, it's changing by leaps and bounds. And if you want to have a meaningful conversation with your customers, your peers, or the team that you're working with, you need to stay current. And this is what, will set you apart as a leader, because, everybody around you knows a lot. And, to keep pace, you have to learn as well. And, uh, having completed my education many, many years back, uh, I still feel the need to learn the latest in the industry. So be it AI, be it machine learning, what are the platforms, tools that are available, what is current. Even today, with all of us just coming out of COVID, we were thrown into having to work remote, okay,
Mhm.
and manage teams, manage large projects.
Yeah.
So this was a complete learning that, all of us had to do. We had to change the project delivery methodologies. We had to change communication. We had to change team constructs and the way we interface with teams. So learning is the only, constant, to keep up with the change.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think it also kind of goes to show that if you are, I feel like a lot of times when people say like staying up to date, what they're thinking of is things like continuing education. Are they going to have to go back to school? And yeah, that might be, part of it for you. But as I'm listening to you, I'm kind of hearing that you're following your natural curiosity within the field, right? So like
Yes.
as like things come up and are somewhat newsworthy, then yeah, you can say like, oh yeah, I'm really interested in AI. I want to kind of delve in deeper or like read a little bit more up on this. And I absolutely love what you talked about with not only learning these things for yourself, but sharing them, right? That idea of not necessarily paying it forward, but like, I know this thing, it's really cool. Do you want to know this thing too? And I think that's really awesome it's a great way to not only like learn things in a way that really sticks with you, right? Like when we explain them to someone else, it
Yes.
helps our brains to kind of like entrench the idea, but it's also really good for team building because now you've got people who are not only sharing their own curiosities but sharing the learnings of those curiosities, and that more knowledge is, at least from my opinion where I'm sitting, never a bad thing. So I think that's really really awesome.
And it,
All
it,
right.
it
Oh,
also
please go.
helps build your brand, when
Yeah.
you learn and share and you become a source of knowledge to others, that helps build your brand and build your leadership as well.
Yeah, Absolutely, yeah. If everybody knows that, like, oh, ask Anitha, she's got the, the inside scoop on blah blah blah, then
Yeah,
yeah, you've just made yourself, you've put yourself in a position of not only being like respected, but also like approached and asked for help and asked for answers. And that is, I mean, honestly, that's a really good feeling for a lot of people.
yeah,
So I think that's really great. All right, let's talk a little bit more. I know we're kind of hitting hard about what it's like to be a woman within the tech sphere. Have you ever felt like your voice needed to be amplified, like people were not really necessarily listening? And if so, how have you managed to do that within your career?
yeah. No, I think this happens a lot, and that the two things that are very important is that when you are in a meeting or you're attending a meeting, always go prepared with the content. Know what is being spoken about in the meeting, and go prepared, for the meeting, so that you can contribute positively, and it's very important to do that. So while on a call, sometimes you're waiting for the chance to speak, and it's always important to use the raise your hand button on Zoom, so that you get a chance to speak. And when you get a chance, make sure you have the right content to put forward. And the other, which a lot of us don't do, is to build relationships with your peers, the others who are in the meeting. Because if there is a discussion and something, an idea that you are going to put forward, you need to ensure that there are others in the team, that you've sounded the idea off with, and they're going to support you in the meeting. Otherwise, it's going to be more difficult for you to get your idea through to the team. So these are things, that you learn over time. That is not just about being the most brilliant person in the room, having the most brilliant idea, but how really, what is the work that you've done to connect with the team, and, share your ideas with others, get their thoughts, get their viewpoint into your idea before you share it, on a platform.
I love that. And this goes, so what you're saying is like really, I mean, a lot of people that I get the chance to talk to say similar things, right? They talk about having kind of like a buddy in the meeting or someone that
Yeah,
is either going to have buy-in on your idea or has a position of either influence or, whether it's like authority with power or leadership without authority or whatever. You want somebody that's also going to like kind of buy in and help do this.
yeah,
But it really circles back to what you talked about in the last answer too, of building your brand so that
yeah,
like one of the best ways I ever heard somebody describe building your brand was you're trying to build up what you want other people to say about you when you are not in the room. And if you are setting yourself up as this person who has ideas, who bounces them off people, who like wants to involve other people to make sure that like, hey, do you think this will work? Like, I think this would be really great. And here's why. And these are all like excellent, excellent tips to not only like feel, kind of round out your idea and make sure it's fully developed, but also to make sure that others within your team are already thinking in terms of, hey, maybe Anitha has a great idea about this. Or, Anitha had this really awesome idea for the last issue. Why don't we go check with her and see if she's got any advice or insights on this? So I think that's awesome. Let's see. Oh, we got a really good question from Snigda in the chat here. Snigda asks, what are the biggest challenges you have faced as a woman in leadership? Are there any that stick out to you? If you had like a situation where like maybe a certain team or a certain person wasn't really jiving because you were in charge, or have you been lucky enough not to have to deal with some of the nonsense that other women leaders have had to deal with?
mhm. No. So being in India, one of the things that I've had to deal with is egos. Okay. Uh, the ego of having to report into a female leader. And this is people have come up to me, my team has come up to me and told me, at the end of 2 years of working with me, uh, telling me that they were skeptical when they were asked to report into me. and they didn't want to because, you know, and uh, because they thought that I wasn't capable enough when they started. But what they really told me after 2 years, it was not that you were not capable or you were not a good leader. It was just that I had a big ego and I didn't want to be seen as reporting into a woman leader. Okay, so this I've heard it, and this plays out, because um, uh, sometimes you don't get the right updates. It becomes, oh yeah, we've decided on it, and uh, you have to really ask. Nothing happens, unless you ask for it. And there's been a lot of having to set rules, set a governance, have regular update meetings because the updates don't happen unless you ask for it. So you have to take charge, and you have to lay down the rules and decide on how you're going to manage the situation. Okay. And once you've built this rapport, once the team knows that you mean business, your intentions are very clear, you are results driven, you've set clear goals for the team, and you validate progress against these goals. You have to be very good at doing this. And this is how you get respect. And the other, aspect is be knowledgeable, be ready to give them ideas and to guide them when they need help. And this is how you win over their respect. Because, as a woman leader, you have to be, I would say, a lot more competent if you need to win respect from your team members, especially if they are male. I think both men or women, they are more critical of a woman leader.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
very much reminds me of, oh man, it was at least 6 years ago now. I started a new job, and my person that was next to me in the cubicle, little complex, honestly ended up becoming one of my best friends. And I will never forget the day that she turned to me after we'd left a meeting and said something about, yeah, well, they're not going to listen to my idea. I could just tell. And I was like, what do you mean they're not going to listen to your idea? It's brilliant. She goes, yeah, it's the black text. I haven't proven myself yet. And I looked at her and I thought, please don't let that be true. And one look at her face was like, oh no, that's absolutely true. And I've gotten to escape, 20 years in the working world without ever realizing that because of literally something that I did nothing to do anything about. And it kind of reminds me of these hurdles that you have to jump, where it's like there's plenty of men that will never understand that not only do I have to be as good as you at my job, I have to be better because you are already not going to listen to me, despite the fact that I'm here. And most people don't just fall into a job. Most people are not just like, oh, I tripped and landed in this chair and now they're letting me be the SVP of tech or something. So it's also one of those situations where you gotta, at least for me, I personally have to try and rein in the rage feeling with by thinking that like that reaction tells me so much more about that person and says so much more about that person than it does about me as an individual.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Oh,
I think, say, you cannot control what somebody else is going to do, but the only thing that you have control over is how you're going to react to that situation.
yeah. Yeah. And honestly, like, and it sucks too, right? Or it was really not fun because like the last thing you want to do is tell people, hey, you're facing this ridiculous and completely baseless attack on your competency, your abilities, but don't take it personally and don't react like you want to react, which is just to scream into the void because what is life? And it stinks. It stinks that that's the extra layer that gets put on people, especially women. But like you're right, it comes from it's a lot easier to handle knowing that it's not really about you personally, it's their whole business, but also knowing that not everybody thinks like that. And while it can be difficult to try and figure out who does and who doesn't, once you know who doesn't, those are the people you surround yourself with. Those are the people that you say, hey, this troglodyte over here is not listening to reasoning. Can you go talk to your buddy? Could you do that? That'd be great. So yeah. All right, let's talk more in terms of kind of technical stuff. Um, this person had asked, how can one personally transform technical expertise into influential leadership? So let's talk about this. If you are somebody who maybe doesn't
Yeah.
have a leadership position, either in authority or without, is there a way to take a huge amount of technical knowledge and parlay that into a leadership position?
Yeah, I think you should leverage your technical knowledge and and use this to get into a leadership position. Now, the first thing is, as long as you have technical knowledge, please understand that this is the core strength that everybody from in a technology field has is your technical skill. And your technical skills gives you the ability to innovate. It gives you the ability to provide solutions. It provides you the ability to for problem solving, and leveraging this, you can contribute greatly towards a team. Okay. And what you could do is like I said earlier, if you're very good technically, share this knowledge on a platform, take a session on on the technology that so that others immediately recognize you as a leader in that technology. Okay, join one of the group that supports technology. So if somebody's got a query, you're the person who can help them resolve that query. That immediately builds your own credibility in the field. Okay. And create a new solution. Go create something new that nobody has thought about, and submit it as an innovation. Okay. And all of these are things that you can do quietly, just leveraging your technology. But the kind of visibility that you get out of doing this is really big. And use this as a platform, use this platform, to then build on your leadership skills.
Yeah, I like this. And it's really good advice, right? Because what we're really talking about is whether you're leading, whether you are sitting in a place of authority or not, there are ways to develop and display those leadership skills. And I completely agree. Coming from a place of knowledge is a really easy way to establish yourself as someone that people can go to. So that helps to start to engender that level of respect and like uh, people seeing you as a resource, because that's really what a leader is, right? A leader is somebody who's supposed to help facilitate their team to solve problems or get things done. And so I think it's really important that you're highlighting a function of leadership that is not just go tell everybody what to do. It's no, help people see how they can do the thing. So I think that's great. We've also got some really good comments here. Mary was chiming in regards to the last question previous. Mary said to get to high positions requires deliberate planning, but there's a reason that in so many industries, women continue not to make it to that level due to things like blockers or gatekeepers. Mary also said, when you reach that level, you can't react. You have to be open to questions and adapt to multiple possibilities of situations. And so it does, kind of the stakes become higher the higher you go.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, very important. Mary says, I totally didn't lean into my technical skills because I was always told I was great with people and education. I solved a lot of those problems by using my technical adeptness. I just never understood how to communicate that. And that's very true, right? Like think about the things that you're doing well or some of the things that you're able to do in your teams that other people don't seem to be able to. Think about why that is. Is it because you're kind of quarterbacking and telling everybody what to do, or is it because they know that you know what's going on, that you understand the pieces and what's at play, and so you'll be able to help clarify that for them? I think that's really, really good. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Pooja came in with a really good question in the chat. How do you keep yourself motivated when things are not going as you expect them to be, especially at your level when you have things like when you have 30 things on your plate that you need to manage? So let's talk about this. Have you ever been in a situation with, especially where with a job where you have so much on your plate and it's like kind of nothing's really playing out the way you had planned?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I think so. I think it does happen. Okay. And what is needed is that, you have to manage your energy every day on a job. Okay. So which means that, if there are 30 things on your plate, And every single item on your plate is something that drains you of your energy when you're not managing it well. Okay. You need to have things on your plate every day that energizes you and that you enjoy doing. Okay. So this could be, of the 30 things, you introduce 5 minutes of meditation. Okay. 10 minutes of listening to music and dancing. Okay. Maybe another 10 minutes of playing with your dog or cat. And, introduce this at times when you're really bogged down. And this will energize you. And, you can go on to do the other tasks. So whenever your brain is not functioning, okay, what you need to do is energize yourself. And the other thing, that I've seen helps is that I get a lot of satisfaction when I have a list of things to do and I just strike it out. This is done. This is done. This is done. And that gives me a sense of completion, a sense of achievement. So do that.
I am a big fan of what my boyfriend, cheers, I've been married for like 7 years, what my husband calls the little treat method. So I am a very big fan of, okay, I have to go write like 12 emails. I really don't want to do them. I have made myself my perfect cup of chai tea latte, and I will sit here and this is my treat, but I only get to have my treat while I'm doing my emails. So like for me, I can't do the like, then I'll have a treat later. My ADHD brain does not like that. It's like, no, 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 we need the stimulation now. So I like basically microdose my treats. So it's like, okay, I can listen to that podcast I want to listen to, but I have to walk the dog while I'm doing it. So I tend to kind of approach things like that. But I love this idea of like, take a 5 minute dance break, take 10 minutes to go, just listen to a podcast or do meditation or just like sit and breathe. My sister is a big fan of the cleansing scream. Sometimes she's in a very high pressure field, and there are just times where that girl just needs to scream it out. She literally keeps a pillow in her car so that when she needs a second, she can go out to her car and do the like 20-second pillow scream. And I swear I've never laughed so hard in my life as when I saw her do it. But then you see her go back into work and she's like a Zen Jedi master. It's insane. Like, so what I'm saying is find the thing that works for you. It doesn't matter how silly it is. It doesn't matter if nobody else understands it, because you're the only one that needs to be recharged in that minute, right? You're the only one that it needs to make sense to. All right, oh, loving this. Oh, Mary says that she loves checking things off with many colored pens. Yes, absolutely. That like something about that like satisfying like cross off a to-do list is it right? Like doing it with a pen is way more satisfying than just deleting something with your finger or like pushing a button. Like I love this. Okay. All right. We had a ton more questions to get to today, so let's see what else I can ask you. Da, 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 da. Okay, do you think there are any specific technical skills that are incredibly like valuable within your field that are maybe not the ones people are going to think of? This was a big one that people wanted to know, is if there are like small things that they could learn that would have a very big payoff or big impact in their working world.
Yeah. See, I think, in the field of process mining, okay, I think it's important to really understand the theory. So if you can, if you're interested in process mining, get hold of, some of the content that's available online on process mining and go through it. It could be, Professor Will's session on process mining that's available on Coursera. Register for this course and do this course. This gives you the details. Read books. There are a number of books also that are written on the field. So get on to some research articles. Read these books. This would give you, the real theory behind process mining. You would be able to appreciate the platform better. Now, the other thing, that you should also focus on is, the programming tools that are required to develop applications on the platform. So for your data, connectors and data massaging, there's Python, the automation. So a knowledge of Python is good. A knowledge of SQL, as you call it, is very important because use SQL to extract data, to create extractors from data sources. This is very important, when you're analyzing, the data. And, good knowledge of how to use um, uh, Excel, Google Sheets, your PowerPoint, Microsoft PowerPoint, because these are all tools that you use, to in your day-to-day job. But being good at it, being able to write formulas, being able to automate stuff will make life easier for you and will make you more productive. So make sure you know these, productivity improvement tools. A simple thing, is that if you have to send, the same email to, about 100 people or 200 people, you should know how to, create a mail merge program where you can automate sending these. So these are things that you don't think about, but knowing this, would really make your life a lot easier. And besides this, learn the skills of, how to post on social media, Instagram posts, because, social marketing, creating awareness of the product, all of that is important, for you to be successful, for your brand to be, the platform that you work on to be successful, and for you also to gain success, through this platform. So, make sure you're up to date with all of this besides just core technical knowledge.
Yeah. No, I think I love this advice, and this is not something we've heard before. Truly, every time I'm on one of these calls, I learn something new every single time, and this is no exception. I cannot second that hard enough. There's certain stuff that like I didn't learn how to do within like we were still using Excel at that point, but then moving into Power to Fly, I then had to learn how to do Google Sheets and all that stuff. But there's tricks and tools and things within those, within like Google Mail. There are
Yeah.
little like shortcut things that most people don't know about because we're busy doing work things. We're busy like on our job tasks as opposed to on like busy learning about the things that support those job tasks. So yeah, I think that's absolutely genius. Like learn some of these shortcuts that can help take a lot of the like, kind of mundane stuff off of your hands. Very, very important. And I really think that I love those tips. And thank you so much, Mary, for chiming in. Mary's been like grabbing notes as you've been talking. So thank you so much, Mary, for grabbing notes on that for everybody in the chat. We really appreciate that. All right. Now, I think a lot of
And
us.
the other thing,
Oh yeah,
one more
please.
thing that I would urge, everybody technical to learn is the art of storytelling.
Oh
Learn how to tell.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that. When it comes to the art of storytelling, is there a certain story that you are especially proud of how you tell? Is there like one that kind of comes up over and over for you? Or like when did you learn what the importance of storytelling could do for you in your career?
Yeah, so there's one thing, that I would like to, talk about is this. There's one story that I heard that has stuck to me and that has helped me, over and over again. Whenever I'm faced with a situation, that I think is, I'm just not able to work through it. So there was a story about, two salesmen. I'm sure a lot of you have heard it before. Two salesmen, who were selling shoes, and they were sent to this remote country, remote island, and they were told, by the leaders that they had to go and set up a sales, division in this remote island. So both of them pack their bags and they land on the island. Okay, so and one of them, he looks around and he's like very disappointed. He said, I mean, like, where have they sent me? Back of beyond, and none of the people here wear shoes. So how am I even going to sell them shoes? And the other guy is, just standing there looking around and so excited. He says, so there's so many people and none of them are wearing shoes. So just imagine, the amount of business that we can do. Nobody wears shoes and we can sell shoes to everyone here. Okay, and you can just about imagine who was the most successful person here. And this is a story I tell, everyone every time, that people come to me saying that, I don't think this would work. I said, look at it this way. Can you look at it from a different perspective? And when you look at things differently, then you would find a path, the way forward. And this keeps coming back to me.
I love that. I mean, as the daughter of a salesman who lived every night at dinner, basically learning about sales pitches, this is fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. I love this. And I love that what we're talking about is not only the story, it's the way that the storytelling can help reframe what the actual issue is. And I think that that's wonderful, really, really wonderful, and a good way to kind of think like, all right, is this really a problem? Or are you just bringing completely new tools to a situation? And I think that's wonderful. Oh, I love this. Love, love, love. Thank you, Anitha, for sharing. All right. When one thing that I think is really interesting is when you've got leadership that is focused on being positive, right? And a lot of times this could feel very weird, especially if people are not used to this kind of quality within leadership. But do you think that optimism is like a key skill for leadership? Like, do you think it's really important to have, or do you think it could be hurtful if it's maybe leaned on a little too hard?
Yeah, I think it's not just optimism. I'd like to use a term called positive framing. Okay. Now, optimism is about looking at things positively, but optimism doesn't necessarily mean you do the right things to make it happen. Okay, but when you're, in practicing positive framing, what you would do is assess the situation, and yes, the situation might be bad, but find out, how you can get out of the situation. What is it that you need to do to get out of the situation? For instance, it could be that somebody is down with an illness, and a very serious illness, and it's there's there is a I mean, the prognosis is not very good. Okay, but at that point in time, the person can either crumble, with yes, that that's all is lost, and dash all hopes, or the person can think, yes, this has happened to me. Now what am I going to do? And the person can go out and talk to the resources available. Are there other people who have faced this and who have come out of it? What is the medical treatment that's available now? If I need to get this medical treatment, what is the amount kind of funds that I would need to raise? Where do I get those funds? Can my insurance treat it? And do I need to make some lifestyle changes to come out of this illness? And come up with a list of, yes, what is it that needs to be done? Go and do it, wanting to come out of the situation, and you come out of the situation. Okay, so this is how positive framing can help. Now, this is something that I'd like to share is, as a woman, women tend to be pessimistic by nature. Okay, they tend to look at, what, think about the worst. Oh, I'd like to, it happens to be all the time, especially when my children were growing up, and, they were going to school. And every time the kids, the time that they would be coming back from school, I would keep thinking about the fact, oh, they're going to cross the road, and, they're going to get run down by a car when they're crossing the road. And it was a constant fear. But the fact is that optimism is more realistic than pessimism. Okay, what is the percentage of people, of children, that get hit by a car? It's a very small percentage, right? So you are worrying about something that happens probably, 0.01% of the time. Is it really worth it? Okay, so think positive. It reduces your stress. Okay, and when you think that there is, something bad might happen, then you prepare for it. So for instance, going back to the example of my children, what I would do is prepare them, teach them how to cross the road. Okay, and
Mhm.
teach them multiple times so that you know that they're going to do it right.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is how you can prepare for the worst and eventuality that could happen, and to ensure that it doesn't happen. And stop worrying about it. Don't think about it, because if you think about it, it's not going to help the situation. If you worry
Yeah.
about it, it's not going to help the situation. So you might as well think about something that you can control the outcome of, and you know focus your energies to that.
Yeah, I completely agree. Mary is doing the most in the chat here, chiming in. Also saying the same. Mary said, positive framing requires actions as well as theory. Positivity
Yes.
or optimism without that action is meaningless. I completely agree. And, it kind of goes to the point of why do most people not want to be optimistic, right? It's either because they've been burned before and they're worried that they're not going to be, that like being optimistic means that you're not preparing somehow,
Yes.
or they are used to the optimism that is, it's kind of, to me, it comes off as like kind of toxic positivity, right? Of like, no, it's fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. And you're so
No.
busy saying it'll be fine that nobody's really doing anything to ensure that it's going to be fine.
No.
And so I think that, when we're talking about being optimistic and being positive, yeah, it's important to have that goal of like, no, 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 we're going to focus on the positive. And that's great. But it's only because you have like dealt with the things that you can do something about, right? Like you said, teach your kid to look both ways before they cross the street, as opposed to just not teaching them anything about streets or cars ever. So,
Yes.
yeah, I think that that's really awesome and really important to see. And it kind of goes to show that like being optimistic does not mean that you're ignoring all of these things. It's not like, oh, don't worry about that. It's saying, okay, we've worried about that to the point that we've done everything that we can that we can possibly do. Now we just kind of got to let go. And that's always easier said than done, right? Because,
Yeah.
it's hard to let go, especially if you're in the leadership position, and trust that the preparations that you've made are going to keep you safe, or keep you away from the negative possibilities. So I love this idea of both the reframing as well as kind of the action required behind it. I
Yeah.
think it's great.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Mary says, during COVID, I think this is one of the things that happened to have women leave the workforce because of framing that huge challenge of managing so much. It's one of the reasons during my work, I decided to make extra time and give my time to all the women and mothers I worked with and mentored. I understood that they were all doing frontline critical work, being away from their families. So I made sure to bring my positive framework to work as a manager. It helped them to motivate and support them in their work. And honestly, this is an excellent example of leadership, because not only are you leading the way you would lead any group of people, but you are looking at the people that you are leading and thinking, what else might they need support wise from me? So
Yeah.
that is like, that's like outside the box thinking. I'm loving this.
Yeah. And so, another example that I'd like to say, that at one point in time, all of us thought that they're going to shut down, our office, and we would all lose our jobs. So what we did at that point is that, we used to look at, in those times, jobs were advertised in newspapers. So we used to look at the newspaper, look at the job section, and look for what are the skills that they were asking for, what are the current skills. And what we would do is we would get one of the team members to learn that skill and teach it to the others. So we said, if at all this is going to happen, we're going to be prepared for it. And all of us are going to get new jobs. Okay, and we're going to be prepared for, it by learning a new skill. So,
Yes, yes, I love this. I mean, I remember being really little. It's one of the weirdest lines I will probably ever remember from any movie, but from White Christmas. There's a line where the guy says, "One thing I learned in the army is always to be optimistic, especially if you don't know what you're talking about." And I think this is really important, because if you are coming into a situation and you don't know everything that's going on, pointing out the problems is not the most helpful thing you can do, because generally speaking, problems are pretty glaring. Most people
yeah,
are really happy to call out problems and say, hey, this is wrong. Oh my gosh, what's all going on? Help, help, help. This is wrong. So if you are going into that situation, I very much love pairing this idea of, I don't quite know, but let's be optimistic with, okay, now let's prepare. Let's figure out
Okay.
what we don't know yet. There's no reason that you can't meet a problem with optimism and then later be like, okay, we can still be optimistic, but it's going to take a lot more work to maintain that optimism as we go through this process. So I very much love this. Thank you. Ooh, love, love, love. All right. We're down to the last 10 minutes. I want to make sure we save a little bit of time at the end here to talk a little bit more about Celonis. But before we do that, all right, I want to go back into some more questions that we had here. This person had asked, how do you see the object-centric process mining impacting Celonis's business in the next 5 years? So we talked about this briefly earlier. Where do you see this going?
Yeah, I think this is a big change that we've done, and it's going to make a huge impact. Now, earlier with a case-centric process mining approach, we're able to look at processes in a very linear manner. Okay, and we're able to look at one process completely, and then followed by how it impacts the processes down the line. But with object-centric process mining, there's a complete network of the processes and how they interface with each other that is created. And this is called the business process graph. Uh, Now, this is, I would say, path-breaking in the field of process mining, because for the first time ever, you can look at how a particular process is impacted by something that has happened in a completely different process that is in some way related. Okay, and we're able to define these interrelations. For instance, giving you an example, if a customer is not able to get an order of has placed an order for a car, and the delivery of this car is delayed. Okay, with object-centric process mining, you're able to track it down to, yes, there is the supplier in China who has not got paid, and because who was not paid on time, and because they were not paid on time, they shipped the parts in late, and this is why the manufacturing of the car was delayed, and hence the delivery was delayed. So being able to find out how an upstream process would impact a downstream process is possible with object-centric process mining. Okay. Now that Celonis has this capability in the platform, just imagine the power of what this platform can do, the kind of applications that could be built on this platform. Okay, and this is what we want to do in the next 5 years, is work with our partners and build verticalized applications to ensure that every business process of consequence can be mined, and you can look at this, have this end-to-end view of this business, and leading to more optimized processes, more sustainably run businesses, and and a lot of savings for everyone, making the world a better place.
Yes, I love all of this. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. All right, I have one more question. This one came in from the audience. This person had said during the growing phase, we normally come into conflict with people. What's the best way to resolve conflicts without retaliation? So I saw this as a question of like people growing through someone else's leadership potentially, and maybe that bringing them into conflict with the leader in I read it in terms of like my influence is growing and my leader doesn't like this sort of thing. Have you ever encountered this on one of your teams before? I know that not all leaders are cut from the same cloth. Not all leaders are great leaders or great people developers. But have you ever seen this in your experience?
Uh, yes, it does. It does happen, and it's a very sensitive area, and you need to handle this carefully. The first thing is that you have to have a very good open relationship with your manager. Okay, and I do believe that people leave managers and not companies. Okay, because if that relationship doesn't work, then you have to move to another manager. So it's very important. A people manager is a very important person. That you interface with. It's an important role, and it requires a lot of empathy and a large heart to be a good people manager. Okay, so in the event that this isn't the case, then you are up with a problem where if your ideas are really good and you're kind of overshadowing the ones that are coming from a manager, it is possible that you are more capable than the manager. Okay, so two ways to handle it is have an open discussion with the manager and tell him or her that yes, this is what I believe. I believe that my ideas, I do have ideas, but I'm not getting a platform to showcase it. Okay, and and the manager, would either if the person is a good people manager, the person would be very supportive and let you grow. Okay, maybe find another role for you where you can put your creativity to use. Okay. Now, if the manager is somebody who's not supportive, then they're going to say, "Oh no, this idea's all crap. It's not good. Don't go ahead." And this is where you need to make a choice, whether you want to continue working in this environment or you want to look for something else. It could be another position within the same company doing something else where you could move forward, move ahead, or you might choose to move out into another job itself. So these are choices that you make, and I think it's important first and foremost to be able to identify that yes, this is a problem. You need to speak to people about it, maybe speak to HR, speak to somebody neutral, speak to your friends, and then make an informed decision.
I like this. I like this a lot. All right, Anitha, I want to say thank you before we kind of round us out with a little bit more about Celonis. Thank you so much for the time that you took to be here with us today. The prep work that goes into this is very obvious. Thank you so, so much. We really appreciate you spending time with us this morning, sharing your insights and what your experiences have been like with Celonis. So thank you so, so much.
Thank you.
All right. Now, I have a last couple of questions. The one that I want to touch on first is your top tip for someone who's interviewing. Now, is this Celonis specific, or do you think that your tip is applicable no matter where someone is interviewing?
Yeah, I think I'll give something which is Celonis specific. First thing is to go through the Celonis website to understand what the company does and understand process mining. And also, if you're new to process mining, think about how a technology like process mining can help customers because this would really be helpful, in an interview. And for any company, before going in for an interview, I would say that you need to understand what the company stands for and the values, core values of the company. Unless the core values of the company identify with your core values, the company would not be a good fit for you personally. Okay, so this is something that you need to look at before you interview with any company.
There we go. I lost my mute button. Sorry, y'all. No, I absolutely agree with this. I think it's great advice. Thank you, Anitha. And then I want to highlight y'all, if you are interested in Celonis, if anything that we've said today really sparks your interest, definitely take a look at their company page on powertofly.com. I know we flashed it up on the screen a little bit earlier. You can see what it looks like right here. There's a lot of that research that Anitha mentioned you can be doing right from powertofly.com. There's a tab for company insights. There's an about tab or an overview tab that'll show you more info about the company. That'll also show you linked content or resources like events like today, Ask the Recruiter blogs, all kinds of stuff is there. So really great resources to prepare for an interview. The other thing that I want to highlight is obviously the jobs tab. You can search available roles with Celonis. But if you are actively seeking and maybe don't see anything right now that's listed that you just, I got to apply to right this second, I really encourage you to take a look at that follow button. It's big, pink. It says plus follow at the top of Celonis's company page. Basically, what that's going to do for you is it's going to allow Power to Fly to let Celonis know you're interested in them, interested in working with them even before you fill out an application. And it's also going to allow Power to Fly to take the weight off of you in your job search because we are going to let you know when Celonis posts new roles. So you don't have to keep coming back and refreshing and basically memorizing job boards. So like I said, Power to Fly has some great resources for y'all. We want to help you and be there for you at every stage of your career. So please make sure that you avail yourselves of those resources, share them wherever you would like. We want people to have this information. That's going to bring us to the end of time today. But I just want to say again, thank you so much to our audience members, people watching on YouTube or people that are going to be watching this recording in the future. Hello from the past. We are so happy to have had you join us today and really grateful that you spent time with us. We know that you have a lot of opportunities and options when it comes to events like this. And we are very grateful that you chose to spend time with Celonis and Power to Fly today. I hope y'all are super proud of yourselves. You just took an hour out of your day to do something positive for yourself and your career. That is not easy in this day and age. So I hope y'all are really, pleased with yourselves and reward yourself for that. And whether this was your first event or your 50th, I sincerely hope it will not be your last and cannot wait to see you again on another event in the future. That's it for today, y'all. Bye.